Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Stayntouch Product Enhancements, version 5.57, virtual card handling, journal click-through navigation, and more, presented by Stayntouch implementation consultant, James Lee. I'm your host, Erin Fisher, the content writer here at Stayntouch. Today's presentation will cover how you can get the most out of the Stayntouch version 5.57 product release. In this webinar, we will demonstrate virtual credit card handling, show how to edit multiple reservations from the group rooming list, illustrate journal click-through and back navigation, explain updates to routing instructions for group reservations created by CRS, highlight enhancements to Stayntouch Guest Mobility and Guest Kiosk, and for mobility, we'll highlight the Ask for Additional Guest Details toggle. For Kiosk, we'll highlight the Prompt for Additional Guest Details toggle, as well as language translations. We'll have a short Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation, and we will answer them in the order they are received at the end. And that's all I have right now. James, I'm going to hand the presentation over to you.
Thanks, Erin. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. All right, can you confirm you can see Stayntouch in?
Yeah, all good.
Perfect. Well, the first thing I want to demonstrate today is one of our most exciting releases that we've had in a while, and this is the ability to really automate virtual credit card handling. This is going to really impact a lot of our hotels that have OTA virtual credit card collect. This process and this feature is actually going to make your lives a lot easier. To set this up, the first thing I want to demonstrate is on the company profile here, and I have one set up specifically for booking.com. So usually with OTA Collect with virtual credit cards, they send a credit card with a different number each time, but the credit card name is usually the same, is what we found. So the functionality that we actually built in is the ability to set up routing on the company card here. We say room and tax, and then over here on the left, we're going to select the option for new payment method. And when you add that option, there's a new button here that says add a virtual card. And by adding the virtual card, what you're going to put is the card holder name that shows up on the virtual card. So for example, if booking.com says booking.com virtual credit card, what have you, you'll need to look at any existing reservations to see what it sends over as. You add the virtual card here, and then you save it. And the process that happens at that point, I could bring up a reservation that exists already that I have kind of set up here. I can see the Expedia Collect reservation here. This is how the reservations will come over from your CRS. The primary payment is going to be cash. You do have the restrict post on, but when you do swipe the credit card for incidentals at check-in, the restrict post should go off. The routing is going to kick in automatically. And then back under bill and charges on bill number 2, the virtual credit card is going to be on bill 2. So at checkout, all you got to do is check the guest out, charge the credit card for incidentals on bill 1, then move to bill 2 and charge the credit card for room and tax to the virtual credit card. So all that behavior will kick in automatically just by adding the name under the billing information under the company card itself. Another exciting feature we've rolled out on this version is the ability to update multiple reservations with certain values on groups. So for example, if I go into my groups here, I have a Bayview wedding reception group here. Under my rooming list, I can see all my reservations. I could choose to select all of them if I want to by selecting the checkbox up here at the top, or I can select individual reservations. And when I select reservations, I have an edit option here. When I pull up edit, this used to just say edit names, and you can pull up and just be able to update the names, but we've changed the button to say edit. And now you have options to change arrival date. You can change the departure date. You can change the room type. You can even change the occupancy, or you can even go back to the edit names options, and that will take you where you can edit the names on the rooming list. But I'm going to go ahead and go to edit here. We're going to change it to arrival date on June 2nd. And you'll notice once I'm changing something, I can't change anything else because it does only allow you to change one thing at a time. You can obviously change the arrival date, then go back in and change the departure date or change the room type, whatever you need to do. From here, I'm going to go ahead and save it. And now I can see all the reservations will change the arrival date. I think I just need to do a little refresh here. Try that again. Take a second. Okay. Well, that feature was working yesterday. Give me 1 second here. And we're going to change this to June 4th and save that. There we go. So now it's updated arrival date to June 4th. Not quite sure what happened with those other ones here. Oh, those are canceled reservations. That would be why. So it did update the reservations there. Other things you can update here as well is the departure date. You can change the room type. If I do change it to a room type where there's not enough inventory, that actually did allow that to change, but you do get a message letting you know that you don't have enough inventory to make that change. Another thing with groups is that we now have the ability to pick up the billing information from reservations that are delivered from the CRS. Previously, when you had billing set up on a group, if a reservation came over for the booking engine, the routing did not actually kick in on the reservation. That has been fixed. So now when reservations come over from your booking engine, the billing information that is attached to the group will attach to those individual reservations as well. Next thing I'd like to demonstrate is some enhancements that we've done in the journal. So under financials, if I go into journal here, I can see under the revenue here, I can see, for example, if I look at my individual transactions that have happened, we now embedded a link to that particular billing screen. So from here, I can actually click on the reservation itself, and that's going to skip actually going into the reservation. It's going to take me right into the billing screen, so I can make any changes. I can, make corrections if I need to, and then by going back, it takes you right back to the journal, and I can move on to the next one. This is going to be great for a lot of hotels to do automated cancellation fees or automated no-show charging, because as you probably know, when we do automated no-show or auto cancellation fees, it does not do automatic payments. So from here, you can actually go in and say, okay, these are my no-shows from last night, and I can actually go into the reservation itself and then process payment directly from the screen, and then go back to the journal and move on to the next one. So a great feature here for finance to be able to easily go through and access the reservations. All right. Now, some other changes that we've made, I'm actually going to kind of bring over our knowledge base article, our release notes. And one of them was regarding a feature that we rolled out recently with the ability to capture additional details for roommates for reservations for hotels that collect certain types of information. Once we added this, the feature was rolled out and it was prompting every single reservation to do this. We've now given it an option because we've heard some feedback from clients where they wish that we could say, do you want to add additional guest information rather than having to add it? So we've added a toggle switch in those areas, so that way it prompts the guest during the check-in process if they want to add the additional guest details. This is on mobility and kiosk. You'll find that toggle switch in your setup for check-in in those areas. We've also added some additional fields in the kiosk that can be translated. Some of those are going to be like your rates, so it's going to give you your rate details, your average rates, all this information here. It used to all just be in English, but we've released the ability to actually translate those as well. It is going to be hard coded in the system, but it is translatable to what it needs to show. All right. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Erin, if we have any questions.
All right. Thanks, James, for that wonderful presentation. I'd now like to turn over the floor for questions. Remember, you can submit questions through the question box in the middle of the control panel. So I don't see any questions yet, but I'll give everyone a few seconds to enter those. All right, the first question is from Ashi. Can you please review the virtual cards again?
Sure. So you first need to find the company or travel agency profile. So I know most CRSs will probably send Booking.com or Expedia as a travel agent. So it works either way, but you would look for the travel agency or the company card that you want to set up depending on what the CRS is sending. So you would then go into the profile itself. And I already have this set up, but I'm just going to remove it to kind of do it over again. So we would go into billing information. We would select the room and tax option here. Over here on the left is the new payment method button. So we're going to click on that. And once you click on that, there's an add a virtual card option. From here, we're going to click on add a virtual credit card. And we're going to type the name that shows up on the virtual credit cards when the CRS sends it over. I know Expedia, I believe they call it Expedia Virtual Credit Card with no space between credit and card. I think that's the way I've seen it. But you can always look at your existing reservations to see exactly how they send it. It does need to be exact, and proper casing does need to be in place as well. But put it in as it shows on those credit cards. We add the virtual credit card, we save the changes, and there, moving forward, any reservations coming over from your CRS, the routing will kick in automatically. The billing, the credit card will actually show up on bill number 2.
Awesome. Any other questions from anyone? All right, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I'll switch it back to my screen. All right, so in this webinar, we demonstrated virtual credit card handling, showed how to edit multiple reservations from the group rooming list, illustrated journal click-through and back navigation, explained updates to routing instructions for group reservations created by a CRS, and highlighted enhancements to Stayntouch guest mobility and kiosk. For mobility, we covered the ask for additional guest details toggle. And for kiosk, we covered the prompt for additional guest details toggle, as well as language translations. With that, I'd like to conclude our presentation. Thank you all for coming. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to email me at erin.fisher@stayntouch.com. Thanks again.